Welcome back to La Houge Yanks. Bienvenue à La Houge Yanks. We're talking Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. And today we're going to be talking about the Day 2, round of 32, Lamar Hutt, U.S. Open Cup. And before we go on, you're probably asking, why is the video so darn late? Why is it being recorded in the middle of May 12th, which is today, by the way, rather than at the end or at even midnight earlier late this today? I was wondering that too. But then reason why Minnesota versus Colorado, weather delay. They had an intense rainstorm up there in Minnesota, if I can talk right. Up there in Minnesota, it suspended the game. They resumed play at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, and it just finished up. And we're gonna go to it later, but Minnesota does take it 2-1. And of course, in a review video like this one, it wouldn't have made any sense for me to talk about all the other teams advancing except for Minnesota or Colorado, as it just wouldn't be fair. Because if I would have said one of the other teams probably gonna advance and the other advanced, it would have just thrown everything off. And so I'm glad I did wait it. And also to that point, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to run down the brackets that have been created for the Lamar Hutt U.S. Cup round of 16 draw, and I'm overall pretty happy. I mean, I don't think there's any cup sets for MLS sides to talk about, so that's a little bummer. But we did have a couple scares. But for me, in terms of rivalries, keeping certain rivalries alive, we lost some, but we also gained some and kept some alive, which I'm happy about. And we're going to talk about this more too. But then again, as I said in the first video, we are not guaranteed any of the regional rivalries, unfortunately, because it's a draw. And for instance, if you go to the South, there's kind of a spoiler alert, even though you guys already know the teams that won, and I'm just going to be talking about. But let's say Charlotte and, or better yet, West Coast, California area. LAFC, LA Galaxy, San Jose, and California, not California United, but one of the teams there, Sacramento Republic. We got a lot of potential for rivalries there. But, you got Cali Clasico between San Jose and LA Galaxy. An unknown named rivalry between LAFC and San Jose, even though I'm pretty sure there's something there. And you got El Tráfico still alive, which is the one that everybody wants, LAFC and LA Galaxy. But what are the odds of that happening? But even then, you've got an interleague strength between Sacramento or San Jose, or even a NorCal versus SoCal rivalry. I mean, we're going to have rivalries in that group regardless. Kind of similar to the Southeast, except for certain teams. I believe it's Inter Miami, Orlando, Charlotte. I don't know if there's really a rivalry between Charlotte and any of the Florida teams, but hey. And then I believe Nashville might be in that one too. I might be wrong, but we'll find out when I go through them in depth. But yeah, stay tuned after that. I'm going to talk about rivalries and what I want to see. And but get this, what I want is probably not what's going to happen. Like, what are the odds of an El Tráfico rivalry, especially when there's San Jose, Sacramento Republic, by the way, who was projected to join MLS but pulled out because of COVID. And it sucks that they couldn't join. They could have added a really all MLS California MLS brawl. But hey, I mean, we got a team still room for interleague matchups there, so that's good. But we also got a lot of games too that I'm going to talk about specifically too. That, I mean, there are some interesting decisions too that could have made or break the game. I don't think they did, but we'll talk about them. But I think maybe certainly they did. But we'll talk about that all down the line, as well as other stuff. But right now, before I keep dragging this on, let's just go ahead and talk about our first one. And keep a reminder, stick around so I can talk about the draft, which, by the way, is tonight as I'm recording this video at 8:30. I'm also going to have a reaction on that. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30, I believe, Central. So stay tuned for a video like this afterwards, the draft, and we'll see how many rivalries I'm granted. None, little, many, we'll find out. But first game of the first day, and keep in mind, I'm still using the terms. These really are, if I can say that right, these terms are really relevant now because it's half watched, full watched, or didn't watch at all, because there's just so many games that were concurrent. And that's kind of the blessing and the curse of the U.S. Open Cup. And it's, you have so many games. I only have 2 screens that I can watch, 2 games at a time. And you got a lot of other games that are coming at the same time. which sucked. I mean, but hey, that's the beauty of the Open Cup. But as we get down to the round of 16 and other quarterfinals, it should become a lot more watchable. Like there's a lot more games that be specifically going on, a lot less at the same time. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and start with our first game that we watched last night, and that was at 6:30 in Richmond Kickers versus Charlotte FC. A little rivalry here. I mean, MLS Virginia versus North Carolina. This is an interleague matchup, MLS versus USL, I believe. And Richmond Kickers, Charlotte scored first, Rios, 34th minute, and Correa for Richmond would bounce back, fire and tie the game in the 53rd minute. But literally 30 seconds later, here comes Yori Reyna, who scores in the 54th minute. Right, just like that, Charlotte FC punches Richmond back, and it's 2-1. And after that, Gaines scores 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes, and Shinyashiki scores an 86 blaster. And yeah, so this one was 1-1, and then all of a sudden the dam broke. That's pretty much what I got to say about this one. The dam broke for Richmond. Charlotte they were holding with Charlotte, but eventually after, especially Yori Reyna scored, Richmond couldn't hold Charlotte anymore, and the dam just broke and everything collapsed. And it's unfortunate for Richmond Kickers. By the way, they have a nice stadium. That was a great stadium to watch them playing. But Charlotte FC gets their name into the draw, and we're going to see what region they are in after we cover every single game. But nonetheless, Charlotte FC does advance in smooth sailing. It looked like. I mean, it didn't look like that to the 53rd minute, as it was close until, of course, Reyna scored. But 5-1 Charlotte. Then we go to the next game. We go all the way down to Belson Stadium. By the way, New York City still hosting, not at Yankee Stadium or Red Bull, because none of those stadiums were eligible to host. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same way, because New York City has advanced. My favorite American MLS side. Of course, we all know my favorite Canadian side is Toronto FC, TFC. But in this one, my American squad got it done. New York City FC does beat in-state rival Rochester, New York, 3-1. And this was just like the Charlotte game, a little contested. It was 1-1 for a little bit. New York City, or actually 2-1. New York City scored. Andrade scored a pretty good goal in the 23rd minute. Actually, a banger goal. And then Herbert just capitalized off a keeper mistake for Rochester. What was the keeper doing here? He was playing with it. Herbert telegraphed it, or he knew he was going to telegraph it. And Herbert just deflects it back into his own net for a 2-0 lead for New York City and the Pigeons. And then Bernandez does get one back. Basis, if I'm saying that right. He does get one back in 3rd minute of stoppage time and before halftime. It's 2-1, but then Chernow scores in the 76th minute and ultimately just puts the game away from New York City. And they knock out and they avoid an upset, a cup set, I should say, from their own in-state foe, from Rochester, New York. MLS next. This is not USL, that's the MLS next. And New York City does advance. And kudos to them, as I said, before I even go to the next one. This keeps the hopes alive for, most importantly, a New York City versus New York Red Bulls matchup, a Hudson River Derby. I forgot to say Charlotte. Atlanta, they lost, so Atlanta-Charlotte rivalry won't be there. But maybe if Nashville and Charlotte are in the same one, I don't think they are. At least I looked at it. But if they are, you still got that rivalry. So Charlotte, I've got to see what group they're placed in. But for sure, New York City, New York Red Bulls, I believe, advanced over DC United 3-0. We still got the Hudson River Derby alive. Should the teams be drawn, I got to keep reiterating that, as we're not guaranteed any other regional rivalries. And I'm going to keep saying that over and over, as that's just the reality of the tournament. But New York City gets the job done over Rochester, New York, 3-1, and they advance to the round of 16 draw. It's happening later today, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we go to the next one. New England 5, Cincinnati 1 at Gillette Stadium. Cincinnati scored first, actually. They were leading 1-0. And then just like the Charlotte and Richmond game, the dam broke for Cincinnati. Carlos Hill had 2 goals, and one of them was a penalty. He scored in the 34th minute, and then turns on scored in the 37th minute. He also scores in the 53rd minute, but that's not before Adam Buxa scores in the 47th minute. Then Carlos Hill scores, and then Buxa scores again, and just the dam broke for Cincinnati. And Unfortunately, their magic in the U.S. Open Cup is gone. But I mean, this game, I forgot to mention, I did not watch this game, but given how this, I mean, I don't really care who advanced, both for MLS. Cincinnati does not have their rival Columbus in, as they got knocked out by Detroit City. So New England, I mean, you can still get DC United. I mean, not DC United. New York Red Bulls for a regional rivalry, technically an I-95 rivalry, but I it's a rivalry, but I would rather see the Hudson River Derby. I don't know who else is in that Eastern group. I know it's New York City, New York Red Bulls, New England, and one more team. I can't remember, but I'm going to find out. I think it's a USL side, but we're going to find out instead of need to assume. But in this game, the dam broke for Charlotte. New England pummeled them. They gave Cincinnati a little false hope, and if you want to say that, but it was 1-0 for Cincinnati. You think they were gonna keep their magic going. New England says not so fast, and a much needed win for New England, as given how we remember all their troubles and turmoil that they were going through earlier on, including that crash out and the why am I drawing a blank on the CONCACAF Champions League, the Pumas, but they redeem themselves if they do 5-1 over Cincinnati, and then make them look like a small USO club, which Cincinnati, I mean, keep in mind, in the MLS, they have shown massive improvement, but in the US Open Cup yesterday, they just got ran over and just plowed by New England. And unfortunately for Cincy fans out there, you had a good run, you beat Pittsburgh, and as soon as you drew New England, I kind of knew that was kind of, you're running into a buzzsaw, but I did have a little hope. I was like, maybe Cincinnati can do something. Maybe they could shock New England. Maybe this could be a cup set, even though it's not between interleague play. But unfortunately, that's not the way it will shake out. So that game, 5-1 New England. They're going on to the round of 16. And we go to our next one. I fully watched this one. Nashville, Atlanta United, 3-2. Atlanta United was leading, the defending champions, I should mention, was leading Nashville 2-0 after the 29th minute mark into halftime, actually. 2-0 at the beautiful Geodis Park by Nashville SC. Brand new open. By the way, nice stadium there for Nashville, and it paid off. They come back, and they score 3 unanswered goals, and send it to extra time. Zubac in the 93rd minute would actually score in extra time to win and dethrone the defending champions of Atlanta United. And once again, some magic happens at the brand new, awesome Geodis Park for Nashville. Great crowd there. I was trying to say brilliant and great at the same time. It's ended up saying great, but great crowd there at Geodis Park for a U.S. Open Cup midweek game. And I mean, the stadium holds 30,000. And it looked like, I don't know, I'm not going to assume how much were in there, but there are a good amount compared to the other games. But Honey Mukhtar scored the penalty. It was a great run by a Nashville player. I believe Ake Aloba, I think he was running in. He got fouled. I might be wrong on who was that, but he scores the penalty, Mukhtar. CJ Stapung scores the late goal to send it to extra time. Dramatic goal. And by the way, before I do this, but Zubac, as I said, scores. But by the way, Nashville should have won this game arguably in regular time, as Walker Zimmerman had a headed goal, but they caught him offside because another Nashville player was presumed offsides, and he was not clearly offside. He was pretty much onside from what I could see. I mean, feel free to dispute this in the comments with me, but from the look of that, it looked like Nashville was onside. Walker Zimmerman, I mean, sure, the Nashville player that was presumed offside, quote unquote, sure, maybe, but he wasn't even in the play. I mean, he was running back. Zimmerman was way inside and then came out and headed in. So, a little highway robbery there from Nashville SC. And as the announcer said, she said 2 things that you mentioned. One, why is there no VAR in the U.S. Open Cup? I mean, moments like this, there's a lot of moments that, like, including potential penalties that were on the outside of the box, red cards that could probably be reviewed. There's just a lot of this, and this is just one of the major moments. A goal, a legit goal that gets called back because it's presumed offside. I mean, that's just one of the reasons. I mean, it's like, why is there no VAR in this tournament? I mean, it's probably going to be used the same reason why there was no VAR in the early stages of CONCACAF Champions League, because the stadiums, as well as even in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying with the nations teams, because the infrastructure, maybe certain teams in America don't have infrastructure to support it. That's probably the excuse they're going to use, but come on. It's 2022, and VAR is much needed, as we obviously just had one of the two examples I'm going to talk about tonight that were controversial, and including a late game that would have just tied the game 2-2 in Nashville. But maybe, I'm not saying Sapong would have scored if that would have happened in the late dying seconds, but if he did, Nashville could have won the game outright 3-2 still. I mean, same scoreline, but we wouldn't have to play extra time if that was just reviewed and Walker Zimmerman's goal stood. But pretty much that was some highway robbery there from the referees, and AR had some bad, just, I don't know what was going through his head. And even the Nashville players going over to him, see him, they start celebrating, and he's just standing there with the flag up. Wrongly so, in my opinion, but hey, feel free to dispute that. That's just one of the key points that the lady talked about, the lady commentator, she talked about. And the other one, she was like, we interview the players, we interview coaches, we interview other people after the games. Why don't we interview the refs? And Steve Dangle also says this too in Toronto Maple Leafs hockey games. Talk to the refs. Ask them after the games. Why did you make such a call? Why did you make X call? Right? I mean, she has a good point. Why don't we interview the refs and say, why did you make this call? Or did you really think, in going back, do you regret making it? I mean, that's just another key point, right? But I don't know. I mean, Steve Dangle and she has a good point. I wish I knew the commentator's name, but they both have good points in terms of the refs, too. Interview the refs. We should be interviewing the refs after the sports games, probably, and talking about why they made such a call. I mean, that would probably make for a funny press conference, but it would be something for sure. But that's just the first controversial moment of the night from Nashville. But yeah, nonetheless, Nashville does still win, despite being robbed of a goal by Walker Zimmerman, and they do get it. They dethrone the defending champions Atlanta United and take it. And so, bye-bye to the regional rivalry between Charlotte and Atlanta, but we still got Nashville, and if Charlotte are in the same group, Nashville, Charlotte, Inter Miami, and Orlando, I don't think they're all in the same group because that would be too good to be true and too fascinating. But if they are, I'm excited for that. 4 MLS teams all battling down to the wire. Then we go to the next game. Houston Dynamo, San Antonio, once again, interleague matchup as well as an in-state rivalry, mini rivalry, Texas rivalry. I watched this game fully, and for Ferreira with a late game header into the back of the net in the 82nd minute. It was a brilliant goal. Broke the hearts of San Antonio. But before that, once again, we go to another controversial moment. Was there a handball in the box by San Antonio? San Antonio fans, feel free to say so in the comments if you think that you guys are robbed as well. There looked like the potential handball in the 80th minute, or in the 80th minute or around that moment, where a corner was strung in and hit off the Houston arm. It looked like it, and no call, play on, says everybody. And was this a moment that was highway robbery for San Antonio? And this should have been a potential penalty. Once again, we need VAR in this tournament, right? This is one of the other moments why we need VAR. I don't know if you can interview the refs and say, he'll just say he'll missed it, probably didn't see it, but for sure, VAR this is another moment why it's needed in the U.S. Open Cup tournament, as well as other tournaments in the U.S., any kind of tournament of modern day. Because moments like that, missed handball could have changed the outlook of the game. We could have had San Antonio go through, maybe. I'm not saying Houston would have scored the header still, but it could have changed the game completely. San Antonio could have been moving on. It could have been cup-setting Houston Dynamo, but that's not what we have. We have Houston Dynamo narrowly avoiding a cup set because a missed call by the ref did not see a handball by San Antonio, and I feel sorry for the San Antonio fans, but that's unfortunate. Maybe next year's rendition of the U.S. Open Cup will have VAR, and you will be able to dispute calls like this. But nonetheless, Houston Dynamo thinks that Ferreira's late goal will see them out and avoid them the cup set, and they're now Houston is the lone Texas team that will carry the state of Texas in the U.S. Open Cup, and I believe they're being put into a group with Sporting Kansas City as they came back, remember, from FC Dallas. Houston Dynamo are in that group. Winner of Minnesota, Colorado. Minnesota, by the way, won that game 2-1, which I'll talk about later, as well as, I believe, Union Omaha won. So I believe that's in their group. We will have one interleague matchup there, guaranteed, but nonetheless, Houston takes San Antonio. I might want to hurry up here as we got 3 games to talk about, but we're already over the 20-minute mark. The next one is Seattle Sounders and San Jose Earthquakes. I watched this one in full, Starlight Stadium. Very good game. There was a penalty by Lamar who brought him down. San Jose strikes first, but then Seattle scores Madronda in the 54th minute. Or no, before that, Cade Cowell, the young, arguably U.S. or Mexican international, scores in the 50th minute. Jim Madronda scores, fights back for Seattle Sounders, and Montero scores from being down 2-0 to now 2-2. The game goes in extra time, nothing there. Penalties, and San Jose. This was a long penalty shootout. Right now, longest of the tournament. 10-9. San Jose nearly edges out Seattle Sounders, and now Seattle Sounders bring their record at Starfire Stadium to 1-1-1. San Jose knocking out the other Cascadian team, and that means from the American side, of course, Vancouver is not eligible because they're a Canadian, and this is the U.S. Open Cup. Third means that there are no longer any Cascadian teams in the tournament. San Jose carrying the flag for California, one of them, and we all know that they're in the group, as I said earlier, San Jose, LAFC, LA Galaxy, and Sacramento Republic. And I mean, it was a pretty good game for Seattle, but Seattle, I mean, I'm pretty sure many fans are not really going to care much about this, as they just won the CONCACAF Champions League trophy, by the way, the first American MLS side to do so in this modern rendition of the tournament. Kudos to them. I don't know if I already gave them a kudos, but there's my kudos. But I'm pretty sure they can care less about losing this U.S. Open Cup, as now they're trying to focus their attention back to league play, as they've got to bounce back. But then again, they're probably putting all their efforts into winning CONCACAF Champions League. So now that both tournaments are over for them, they can give their 100% undivided attention back into MLS play. So that's that game. Really good game. San Jose, I don't know if you can call this a cup set, but if it is, sure, it's a cup set. San Jose beat Seattle, and they're going on to the draw. We'll see who they get later on tonight. On to the next to last game. I'm going to try and hurry this up, as I'm not trying to drag this out. California United losing to LA Galaxy at Championship Soccer Stadium in California, but it was a close game. California United actually struck first. Cardona was going the 19th minute. I did not watch this game. It was going on concurrent with the other games, as well as there was a little outage problem, but it does look like a good game happened, and it sucks that I had to miss this one. But Cardona scores in the 19th minute, followed by a penalty from, I'm saying his name wrong, but Jovilic for LA Galaxy, followed by a goal in the 80th minute by Lamar for LA Galaxy, and then a penalty for Jovilic again, who scores again. Both goals were pins for him, and Garcia Lopez scores a consolation goal. Not really a consolation, but a goal to make things more interesting in the dying minutes of the game, but California United does not shock LA Galaxy, and LA Galaxy keeps the hopes and dreams alive of the rivalry between El Tráfico as well as even the Cali Clasico. Either of those rivalry games would be cool, but just watch my luck, because I'm probably going to do it, because of the time, I'm going to do a different video just running down the quick leagues or quick groups, because I'm not trying to make this a 30-minute video, but it keeps alive. But watch my luck. LA Galaxy is going to be thrown into Sacramento Republic. Just
Watch. That's how it's going to go, and then LAFC is going to host San Jose. That's just how it's going to go. And I'm already preparing myself for it. That way I'm not going to be so sad later on when it happens. But LA Galaxy avoids the cup set, and as I said, there's no MLS team that was shocked by any interleague teams this time, which it's a good or a bummer. I'm not sure, but on to our last and final game. That just the reason why the video was delayed today. Minnesota 2, Colorado Rapids 1. By the way, the game resumed play in the 20th minute today at the 1-1 scoreline as Dunladi scored yesterday in 8th minute and Mosqueda scores in the 15th minute for Colorado. That's where we left off, but Emmanuel Reynoso in the 87th minute scores, and it's 2-1 in late game today, and it wins it. There is a red card for Kalaman in the 83rd minute for Minnesota, means he'll miss the next round against Sporting KC, Union Omaha, or Houston Dynamo. I don't really care who gets matched up in that group because there's no rivalries there. Maybe Sporting KC and Colorado Rapids, or Minnesota Sporting KC for a new rivalry, but I don't care. Either one is good, but nonetheless, by the way, this game obviously I did not watch because of one, when it resumed, it was not being streamed, and two, there were some problems yesterday with going concurrent games, so I missed this game completely, and it turns out to be the game that delayed the entire video. So Minnesota, the Loons, beating Colorado. I don't know if you can call this a shocker. It's Colorado Rapids. Remember, they had a bye, and they came in, and now Minnesota upset them. I don't know if you could call that one, but it was a good game, I'm pretty sure. I've got to watch the highlights for this one for sure, but obviously I did not watch this one. But with that, that's all your U.S. Open Cup teams. And as I said, I am going to make a separate video because of time. I'm not trying to make this a super long video. But I am going to make a separate video regarding the U.S. Open Cup round of 16 draw according to their Twitter page, each bracket, each section. So I hope you guys enjoy that. That one should be a relatively short, maybe 10-minute video, maybe 5, I don't know. It's probably going to be a 10-minute video, but it's going to be separate from this one for sure because I can get into all kinds of talks about that one. But I'm not for this video for the sake of time. But I'm going to end it there. So that's finito. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Also, tell your friends to remember to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you know when a video is uploaded or posted. And as I said, stick around for the 2 videos now that I'm going to have posted later on the day. One after this one. But, of course, the draw happening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Central. And tell your friends, that wraps it up for the round of 32 for the U.S. Open Cup. Keep your eyes peeled for the round of 16.